Okay, hello. Good afternoon. We're going to answer some questions. For those of you that just graduated, congrats. Yay. We're excited for you to enter the school counseling world. And we had a few questions, and to make it simpler, if that makes any sense, we're just going to answer a few questions in our weekly Wednesday counselor chat. We meet every Wednesday virtually and just talk and bounce ideas off each other. And we're going to record and share with you today.
All right, so we're going to talk about some specific things that might be beneficial to new school counselors or school counselors that are currently in a graduate school program. I mean, it's been a while since we've been in grad school, but I think that we can still share some things that are helpful to you, especially with our experience. I've been a school counselor for 12 years.
And I'm 13 years and 18 years in education. I was a teacher prior.
Okay, so we're just going to walk through some things. And so the first thing we're going to talk about is making the most of internships. So whenever you have an internship, you usually have the choice of where you go. I know for my program, we could pick our internship sites. And really when you're doing that, you're actually interviewing the supervisor too. So like you want to think about what kind of experience do I want to have? Like, what do I want to accomplish when I'm there? What kind of setting do I want to try to do an internship in? And just think about like what you want that experience to look like.
Right. Your internship is your internship. So you want to make the most out of it. You want to, what's helpful when I've hosted intern or supervised interns, I like them to share something they would like to learn that they may not be very strong in. But I also want to know some areas that they are pretty strong in so we can build upon that. And I would say it's okay to have suggestions or things you want to try out. Most of the time, supervisor would be kind of thrilled to have something new and fresh at school, but to run it by them, and it may need a little tweaking and a little adjusting just on school logistics, but it's always good to have that fresh ideas. And again, make the most, ask questions. It's not a time to, I'm not sure about something and I'm not gonna ask, or I'm gonna wait until I go to class the following week to ask the question. You have like somebody live and direct hands-on instruction, because you're in the school, that you can ask right then too. So don't be afraid to ask questions and ask for help.
And something you can do if you have certain skills that you want to try to develop, or if you have some certain things that you want to learn more about, whenever you are deciding on a site, you can actually ask the internship supervisor those questions and say like, hey, I want to get some more experience running groups. Is that something I'll get to do at your site?
Yes, I agree. So speak up, and a closed mouth does not get fed, and you don't get what you don't ask for, like we say.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You'll hear that a lot.
You hear it a lot
from us.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of anything else about that. Also varying your experience. So like thinking about what types of experiences you want to have, thinking about different types of sites you want to go to. So like I know like for K-12 certification, you kind of have to do multiple sites, but like thinking about where you want to spend the bulk of your time. So if you know you want to be an elementary school counselor, maybe trying to make sure that one of your internship sites is elementary, and making like your practicum site be different than that. Okay, let's move on. I'm trying to think of anything else for that, but let's move on to interviewing. So when you're interviewing for school counseling positions, something you might want to think about is, even if you're not in the location that you want to live in, you can start making connections in where you are for your graduate program, but also thinking about the internship sites that you work at. They're going to be connections for you. So thinking about like, do I want to work in this area? Is that some like these districts are the districts job? So all of this is making connections, because people in schools know each other.
Yes.
They know each other, know people in other districts that are neighboring. So thinking about like all the internship sites that you are at are going to be connections for whenever you're looking for a job.
Right. And I will say I have benefited from the connection of getting several of my jobs before. And actually, in my current school counselor role, the counselor was retiring. And I knew her from our a regional counselor group. And she recommended me as her replacement. And I wasn't even looking for a job at the time, but it worked out. And she was very helpful. And I've been here this is like 10 and a half years. So those connections are good to make.
Yeah. And thinking about like, if you are moving to a different area, you want to think about if you don't know anyone, how are you going to make those connections? So whenever I wanted to move to the Pittsburgh area, I was working in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, which is the capital. I joined the local school counselor organization. I was already a member of our state schools counselor association, but like making connections through the local organization was really helpful to get some information about job leads. They might have postings that go out just to members. So just thinking about like, are there county-wide or local organizations that you could join for school counselors?
Or now, this is before the age of so much social media, you can connect with so many other school counselors via Twitter, Instagram. We're both on Instagram, Facebook, but to connect, or various counselor groups to connect with people in the state or area that you're looking for employment.
Yeah, especially like I've seen Tennessee School Counselor Association post a lot of positions lately through Instagram. So, I mean, definitely follow your state and local counselor organizations.
And if you're willing to move, that's totally marketable too, because there's some places that have a plethora of counselor positions. You may have to move, but you would have a job if that's something you are able to do and you want to do.
And we on the meetup, we talked about like not every position you have will be your forever position. So I don't know why I thought about like you got to kiss a lot of frogs.
You can work anywhere for 180 days for a year, school year.
So thinking about where you want, I mean, even if it's not the position that you want to be in long term, like each position is you're going to learn
exactly
grow from that. So, I mean, I've worked a lot of different types of positions before being in my current position. So you have to just kind of think about every experience you have is a learning experience.
Exactly.
What can you gain from that site to share in a future interview or to a future position?
Right. A lot of reflection. This worked and this did not work from that. So that would be extremely helpful. Yeah.
Next, we're going to talk about starting out as a new school counselor. So definitely like whenever you're in your graduate program, and maybe even other counselors that you meet along the way, like maybe at conferences. I mean, I know everything's virtual right now, but like either via conferences or like local school counselor organizations, like being a school counselor can be a really lonely job. And sometimes you might be the only school counselor in your building. Sometimes you might be
I've done that.
One of a few school counselors. Maybe not everybody has the same kind of point of view as you about what school counseling means or is. So I always try to find some people who align to your beliefs about school counseling and like have them as someone you can reach out to, because I mean, it's a difficult job. And I'm so glad that Andrea and I reconnected because like having these meetups and being able to talk about things, I mean, it's really helpful professionally and just like self-care. Like
exactly.
To someone to like bounce ideas off of. It's been really fun.
I agree. Yeah, the networking is definitely key, extremely key. And I have had a teammate the last 2.5 years and it has been great. But before that, I was solo. And I mean, I had like a counselor regional group, which is great too. And we all were solo, but it makes a big difference having someone here. And then also having another counselor to connect with, or counselors to connect with and have ideas, because they may have a really good idea and you would have never thought about it. Or you have an idea and they have something that takes it to the next level. So it's good to have a share peer partner.
And we like sometimes we'll start talking about one thing and we'll bounce to a bunch of different topics and come up with all kinds of different ideas.
Yes.
So it's just fun to be able to have someone who you can bounce ideas off of.
Exactly.
And ask questions too. I'm trying to think of anything else for that one.
I can't think of anything else.
Um, so
I would say too,
anything
one more
else?
thing too about interviewing. When you are interviewing with your schools or at schools, it's really important to ask questions when they ask you, do you have questions? Unless things have all been fully explained, especially what kind of contract is this? Am I half time? Am I full time? Am I going to have any specific duties? Am I like test coordinator? Am I 504 coordinator? Those are things to ask during the interview. I didn't know that at the beginning, but it would have been helpful before that I've asked some of those questions. But I know now that I asked what kind of responsibilities is the counselor expected to have at this school. And they may tell you up front, but sometimes they're not. So it's good to ask to get, to see if that's something you're willing and wanting to do at that particular school.
Mhm. Trying to think anything else that we learned along the way. We talked about staying connected to maybe people from your graduate program or
Yep.
getting connected with people in your state or local organization. We both have benefited from technology, social media. Like we both have blogged, we both have been active on Instagram, Twitter. If you're on Twitter or even if you're on Instagram, if you use the hashtag SC chat, that's a good way to connect with other
True.
school counselors. And I mean, there's a pretty active community on Instagram, Twitter, so
Yeah.
that's another way to get connected and find some inspiration and be able to ask questions and just have like a community.
Exactly. Yeah. And a very nice community at that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty nice. Yeah.
So you think if you like this video and you want to reach out to us about other questions you might have or other videos you'd like to see us record, we're totally up for talking to you about our ideas and trying to help other school counselors.
Yeah. You can DM us at JYJ Counselor.
And at SCH_counselor.
All right. And this is our first draft, so it will get better. It can't go anywhere but better.
We can have, like, now that we did that, we can have a shameless plug. Like, if you need any presenters for your school counseling organization, whether it's your local organization or your state school counselor association, we're open and willing to do online presentations or once things get better,
in person. All right.